Good morning. Did you know that as Catholic Christians, we believe, first and foremost, about the innate goodness of our fellow human beings? We don't focus on the brokenness or the sinfulness or the need for healing, even though we realize there is need for healing. First and foremost, we pay attention to the innate goodness that lies at the heart of every human being. This is so important. Why? We find ourselves right now in the home stretch for the 2020 election. And if one thing has become apparent, we've drawn such stark lines, us on one side, them on the other, that all we see at times is what's missing in our fellow human beings, right? In what's broken, in what needs fixing. And that's what we fixate on. But we are called to go beyond that. And when I find that I'm sidetracked by all that's being spewed at me by the media about one candidate or another, it's time for me to take inventory. How has my heart gone off the rails? How is my spirit no longer reflecting the spirit of the divine? Here we thought it would be so easy to live as believers in this world, as Christians, and yet there's nothing black and white about it. We crave the black and white. Please just give us the rules. Let us live by the rules so that we can see who's living by the rules and who's not. But true faith lives in the gray area where we wrestle with decisions and choices and the application of all that black and white to daily life. Christ himself said, "Don't judge. We need to stay away from the judging." Make sure that before you go fishing for that tiny little speck in your brother's eye, you've taken the sequoia out of your own. Christ himself lived in the gray, associating with those on the fringes of what was acceptable by law, healing prostitutes and allowing prostitutes and women of questionable background to touch him. Even those who were morally on the outliers. Those people, that gray area is where Christ spent his time, working out faith. And that's what we're called to do. We're not called to look and see where people conform and where they don't, who's in line and who's not. We're actually called to look at that deep, innate goodness, not to look at what makes us different from one another, but what we have that's exactly the same. That core that's been created by the divine, that core goodness. That's what we share, and that's what we need to focus on. So when you find that news pundits and newscasters and websites and social media get your blood boiling, and you wonder with anger in your thought and in your heart and in your mind, how can people be like this? How can people think like this? Ask God for the grace to remember again that we have more in common with everyone in this world than not. That I'm called to see and believe that goodness in others before I see and believe anything else.